Hey, my friends, welcome to the Tradies Success Podcast. I'm here with Mark Avedissian from what was Reach Local. A lot of you guys will know Reach Local. It's now LocaliQ. And today we're going to be answering the questions around SEO, SEM, Google Ads, Facebook, TikTok. We're going to be diving into local search, which is huge for tradies. And we're going to be diving into each of those. So stick around. We're going to be talking about that in this session. And I think a great place to start, Mark, is just talk about you and how you got to being the managing director at LocaliQ. So welcome aboard.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, good to meet you, mate. And thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, look, so my career, I kind of played around in different senior roles, and I really took advantage of my interests. At university, I studied accounting, which is the not the boring bean counting bit, but more in the management accounting stream to become a CFO.
Yeah.
And I led a few businesses across different industries, but I always had the other passion, which was my other part of the degree. I did a double including marketing, and I think the marketing piece I just loved because every single business needs to find a target audience. And when you combine a financial acumen, career, and part of that with a good knowledge on what makes marketing work, it kind of landed me where I am today.
Yeah, I really love that. Can we just talk around, because I think it's very important people understand the power of having a CFO in the business, even if it's a contractor or just an advisor. It's different to your tax accountant, and a CFO is a strategic accountant. So would you speak to the difference between a CFO versus a tax accountant for the crew?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so when I talk about being either financial controller or a CFO, you're basically looking for that strategic 2IC to an actual CEO, and that's something that every business needs. You need a trusted advisor, and at some point in most sort of financial controllers or even CFO careers, they usually find a financial accountant that's better than them at the bean counting, at the real technical aspect of tax accounting, and doing statutory submissions and books, and they're usually CA or CPA qualified, and you're there as the advisor to the business on the strategic side to help them grow and look at the broader risks and opportunities. Every business needs that. If it's outsourced or if it's internal, you need to be that partner in crime to either the business owners or the CEO themselves.
Yeah, I think it's so important that at least the business owner, as you're scaling and you're a small business, you understand that strategic financial angle, that you have to be able to do a cost analysis on things, and not like the amount of advice I hear people get around like, oh, you've got some extra profit this year, you should put it into super, or something like that, where it's like the money's gone now. Like you can't use that to scale. You can't, the money is locked away until you are maybe old enough to use it if you make it. So those sort of things is looking at it from more of a strategic angle.
Oh yeah, 100%. And also where to invest, and sometimes it's okay to run a EBITDA loss if you're looking to plan on investing for future growth. So you need to have a really good grasp on, your balance sheet, your cash flow. Cash is always king. And those principles flow through to the way that you run your marketing as well. You shouldn't just run your marketing on a ROAS, a return on investment model. You've got to look at it as a combined overall strategy.
I love that. So what would you say, with obviously your expertise now working in LocaliQ at a very high level and understanding how all of the digital marketing aspect and landscape works, combining that with your CFO, financial strategy, and you're talking about ROAS, which is return on ad spend versus return on investment, ROI. And you're saying that don't just look at those metrics. What should people look for when you're looking at different metrics within a business when you're considering marketing?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's such a minefield, isn't it? Yeah. And I think for a business owner, like you've got all these acronyms, things like click-through rate. I'll talk about some of them if you like. So, CTR, click-through rate, that's where people are clicking on your ad as they're looking at it.
Yeah.
Cost per click, that's like a common measurement that would be used to do a search engine marketing campaign. Then you got all these various things like CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions, cost per lead, conversion, analytics. It just gets all confusing. And I think the way that I try to work with business owners and our staff, the way that our staff help businesses, we talk to them about return on investment and ROAS, which is return on ad spend, but we also talk to them about how well things are converting. So yeah, it's one thing to look at the return the campaign gets on, is it actually generating a sale? But it's doing more than just that. It could be a campaign that's set up on engagement, and that's measuring things like audience interaction and content shares and likes, or it could be set up in a way where you want to look for conversions. So how many leads that the overall marketing campaign's producing, are they actually converting into customers? And how do you provide, as a marketing agency, how do we provide insights to make sure that we're pouring that strategy back in? And then also around data accuracy and targeting. You want to have, and especially tradies, you want to have a hyper local. You don't want to waste money. You need to make sure that you're going after the demographic, the granular audience that's actually working to convert. And again, that looks at campaign efficiency, and then also like how are you staying ahead of that technology curve. So I'll give you a good example. Microsoft ads, which include LinkedIn and even Netflix now. But the traditional search platform is Bing. They've got professional service ads that we do. And that's like an extra layer of performance that isn't even in market with some of the competitors right now. And it's how you stay ahead of that technology curve. So it's not just about CPCs and CPL, and you've got to look at the whole strategy and see where it aligns with your customers' goals.
Oh, it's such an important thing. I think, one of the biggest frustrations I have working with all the tradies we do when they've got a marketing agency and they're talking about, well, I'm getting like $15 per lead. I'm like, but how many of those are actually converting? And of those that convert, what type of customer are they? How much are they actually spending? All of these questions are super important. And I think it reminds me of like when I was trying to learn all of this stuff by mistake, spending heaps of money on ad spend and realizing, we're getting all these like 18 to 24-year-olds clicking on our ads. Is how many 18 to 24-year-olds are going to pay for like a $5,000 renovation of their house that they own? Invite, our trade into a business, with any sort of influence. Like we've got to go after the decision maker and the person who's going to be able to okay, the money. And that's usually someone that's a lot older and a lot more experienced in a higher position within a business. So that was huge, what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's finding that relevant audience, one that's more suited to the actual vertical that you play in. And I think a lot of ad agencies, they can be really good specialists at a certain strategy. Like you might, some of the tradies that might listen to this podcast, they might be working with separate SEO agency, which is search engine optimization. That's all the clever stuff that we do on a website, on page and off page, to make it rank. But then they might use a different agency to do the paid stuff, which includes, display advertising and social advertising and search. And it's trying to find a good compromise between doing too much and wasting money, but also doing the right thing to obviously get the results that you need for your business at this point in time. And I think, it can go a bit deeper than that, Greg. You've got to look at, I think you mentioned it earlier. Do you, as a business owner, do you go to agencies or third parties, or do you hire within your business a marketing expert, or do you, properly outsource to, some other means or in part? And I think that's the most difficult from the tradies that I know. A lot of my friends, Northern Beaches, there's a lot of tradies. That's the challenge, right? And they might yo-yo. They might go from really great experience with an agency to then trying themselves, and that's the tricky bit. And it's the same with their own business. Do they want to be on the tools, or do they want to be strategically looking with a different lens, and growing their business?
I think that's the question, isn't it? And if you've got the time and the resources and the knowledge and the acumen to be able to stay on trend as well and understand like advertising and marketing is changing so quickly. And
Yep.
if you've just settled into a groove from 5 years ago, you're not going to be competing, and you're going to be wasting a lot of money, like you're saying. And so I guess that's the benefit and the payoff of, do you choose an agency or do you do it yourself? And I certainly did it myself for a long time because I created Operational Time Freedom. I loved ads. I loved the idea. I think because it had like it was like a real satisfying thing when you got an ad right and it worked, and you're like, yes, look at all the leads, or look at all the results we're getting, and there was a real feedback loop.
Yep.
Versus like business in general is so slow. You got to go through months of doing work, cash generating activities to actually see if you got a profit or not. And so I got a thrill from that, and I really loved it. But it was a full-time role. I was spending so much time doing it, and I couldn't live a flexible life when I was that involved. And so then testing out agencies and handing that over, and it was like my baby, and I was like, no, what have you done? Like, I can see this isn't good. So I was having this battle with like these agencies, and then I now I've hired within, obviously, with the size, when you have enough tradies and people in your company, you can afford that non-billable resource, which just creates consistency, and you do it your way. But I'd love to dive into, before we dive into how to choose a good agency and what you should look for and what to look out for. So I've got a few stories around that. Can't wait to share. Heartbroken a couple of times, I got to say. But I got to say, you'd mentioned just before professional services on Microsoft and the incoming superpower of ChatGPT and Bing and all of those things right now. So what do you need to know about this emerging technology and how to really leverage this to understand how to, not fall behind?
Yeah, for sure. Now that's awesome. Yeah, because a lot of agencies focus on what they call PPC, pay-per-click advertising, or search engine marketing, and I think whilst that's great, and what that is it's the paid ads that you see when someone's searching for stuffed toilet, blocked toilet, need help now, or local plumber near me. You get a combination of paid ads at the top, and you get what we call organic below, which is SEO, search engine optimization type marketing. And what that means is you've got some really clever agencies out there and internal people that can build campaigns with the right keywords so they show. But enter 2023, it's all going to change, right? You got ChatGPT integration with Microsoft, Bard on Google, and really what that is, everyone's scared of AI. Everyone thinks AI is this artificial intelligence, and it's going to be the day of reckoning, the Terminator piece. But it's not. It's about efficiency, and a lot of companies already had AI. They've just got process improvement, or they've got a constant change management system to become more efficient. And the way that ChatGPT is going to, it'll be a game changer, really, is the fact that people are going to have conversational results being delivered to them. So, the traditional way of typing into your keyboard on a search bar on Google or Microsoft, it's changing every single day. And OpenAI and ChatGPT, especially with the integration into Bing. So you've got Bing Native, which is ChatGPT 4. But you've also got the Edge browser and Windows 11, and soon to be launched Copilot, which will pull all the whole Microsoft suite into, hey, look at this data in Excel, build some charts, build me a website using this data, and produce. The best one to come is the produce a PowerPoint using Excel's data, and it's kind of like a play on the old days. You're not my age, but there was a little clippy tool on the old version of Windows, and there was this little dude that would pop up and say, "Can I help you?"
Yeah, that little it's that clip art guy.
Yeah, it's like a little animated little paperclip, and you'd ask questions, and he'd try to answer.
Oh,
that's where search is going to go. And the reason, Greg, why it's really important that anyone that's doing marketing is ahead of the curve is you can have the best search campaign, search engine marketing, which is pay-per-click. But if your website's a really poor experience, so when someone does a search and they land on your website, that's a big cross. So if it's a poor user experience, they're going to bounce. So instantly there's a website improvement that you can make based on what you know. And you can use analytics to see if that's happening and the like. But then there's the whole search engine optimization game, which is, it's not a short-term fix. So PPC or search, that's very tactical. You can turn it on and off. Whereas if you don't have someone looking at the content, the blogs, the way that your website ranks on different search engines, it's all that really clever stuff. That's a long-term strategy. You don't get results straight away. But I would suggest that come next year, it's going to be super important to do both, because the way that people are finding you is using these chat protocols. And if the chat protocols are picking up organic rankings that you don't have, and your PPC campaign's not geared right in the same way that this AI is going to be scraping data, then you're going to be left behind. And I think that's a really huge consideration that business owners need to look for. And also when you're talking to agencies, you've got to be careful that, hey, it's not just about Google. Yeah, they might have X% market share across all markets, but because of ChatGPT, you need an and strategy, and that includes Microsoft. And, Microsoft, regardless of their size, they've got much better CPCs. I think Google was $2.69 across their cost per click across the whole range, and Bing are like $1.50, $1.54. So you're getting better value, which means you're getting a higher return on at least audience. And then even on conversion, the click-through rates are fairly similar. I think Google are at 3.1 and Microsoft at 2.8. So it will become more relevant, and definitely more relevant in particular verticals as people start playing with these tools.
Yeah, it's definitely more expensive than that per click for tradies.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, how can people get comfortable with spending money on ads? Like, I think people think that, this is a cost and it's gone. Like, they're flushing money down the toilet. And sometimes it does actually feel like that. You put a campaign up and you get nothing, and you're like, that was $500 or $1,000, and it's just gone, and you got nothing from it.
Yep.
And so, what do you say to the people that might be maybe starting a campaign or have had that really negative ad spend experience in the past, to give some hope to the reality?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because a little marketing campaign popped in my head. Money down the dummy.
Money down the dummy. Nice.
Yeah, look, I think the when you're starting a campaign of your own and you're sort of doing your own marketing, you've got keyword planners and you can get a feel for what, like you said, plumbers have very high cost per click. That's good to know, and you can get a feel for how big a budget should be to generate some success. But it's more about, like you said earlier, are they converting? Are they becoming actual leads? And a lead might be a phone call, an email, form fill. So then you've got to add that extra layer of data. And so the benefit of digital, Greg, as you know, traditional above the line marketing, radio, TV, outdoor, it's always got a place and purpose, right? But the transparency and measurement's a lot harder. With digital, at least you can see that, you can see the association. For a dollar spent, these are the keywords that were popping. And if you're using a platform, like a lot of platforms have this AI, we call it conversion-based optimization, where it spends more money on conversions of keywords. Then you've got that tick in the box. So you know where you're more likely to get a return. And then when you combine it with multiple strategies around, display ads or retargeting, and you're getting more finite into your audience that you want to search for, at least that's where they're searching for your service. That's how you get the return proof. And we always say in the marketing world, if it's not generating 5-10x on dollars spent, then you really need to either look at how you're setting your parameters or become a lot more clever with how you're doing your marketing. And you can waste money. It's a bidding environment. You're up against someone that could do a takeout play on particular keyword, or you could go too broad and your campaign spends out too quickly. So it is a trap for beginners. And I would always urge people to do some research and look for those companies that have their own insights. That when they start a campaign with particular clients in particular verticals, do they have experience working in that industry, and do they have case studies? Do they have runs on the board to show what does and what doesn't work? And I think, like anything, if you're just trying something from the scratch, kind of it's test and learn, and you don't want to do that if you're spending that money with an agency. You want to make sure that it's safe hands and they're spending your money wisely. In fact, they need to be that 2IC that I was talking about earlier. They're the ones that need to help you from the acumen standpoint of running your business.
Yeah, I think going into ads, I've seen so many campaigns, obviously with a passion myself, and I'll go into people's campaigns, I'll have a look, and I'm like, you're wasting so much money just because, like you're saying, spending on the wrong people, just, spending money in India. It's like they're geographically not set up properly. Spending money on the other side of Australia or New Zealand, and they're getting phone calls from those places as well. So the ad campaign just didn't get set up right from the start, and that's a huge cost, not only in time and gives you a feeling of defeat, but there's no return because of the way it was set up. And so
that's right.
So I think that's where agencies can come in and actually set it up right from using the knowledge of all the other trades. But I'd love for you to speak on, what do you think are the benefits of someone new starting out in digital marketing using an agency versus trying to do it themselves?
Well, I mean, firstly, if you're trying to do it yourself, you've got that learning curve. You also don't have the ability of scale, so you don't have that. And especially if it's just you or you've hired someone to do it for you, they may have some knowledge, but they don't have all knowledge. And I'll give you an example for our own business, Greg. Like 3 years ago, would I have recommended TikTok for a tradie, a plumber? Back then, no. It's like, no. But and I know you use it. The viral nature of TikTok is incredibly relevant for finding a relevant particular audience. And if you're that sole person that's running a marketing department, where are you going to go to? You're going to go to the big bad Google, to start with, and you're missing out on certain emerging opportunities. And we love TikTok. Our clients love it because it just simply works for some industries. And had we not had the depth and breadth of our team, we wouldn't have gone there. So I think if you're doing it yourself, you've got the speed to adapt change is harder. You've got the opportunity costs of not running your business, because you spending time doing something means that you're not using your hours wisely where you would normally make money. And you also don't get the benefit of the a lot of us as agencies, we get trained, we get marketing insights, we get, we've got joint business plans where we're also, technology and channel partners of these big players, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Meta. So you don't get the accreditation that can help generate more successful campaigns. And it can spend wildly. You can, like you said earlier, there's a lot of risk in these frameworks, and not knowing what best practice looks like is one of the single biggest failures when people try marketing themselves. And then secondly, if they're trying multiple agencies that don't have that single point of view, if I can make one recommendation, you want to try and find an agency that's small enough to be there, and they're in your office and working with you locally in local markets. But you also want to make sure they're not just pushing the one product that they know well,
Yeah.
And it is a challenge, and you've been in this game for a long time, Greg. You do a search for an advertising solution or an advertising agency, and there's thousands. It's crazy, and there's a lot of there's a lot of online marketing agencies that might not be based in a local market, and it's a very large playground, and the quality is diverse. So it's a bit of a minefield out there, really, Greg.
So I'll share experience of mine, and then we'll dive into how people can find a good agency if that's something they're going to go down. So for me, I spent hours and hours, and like you said, that took me away from doing other jobs well in the business. And we've got to understand, as a business owner, you've only got a limited amount of time in your day. And I honestly, like, our scaling pathway and our freedom fighters is all about handing over responsibility to other people so that you can focus on the most valuable thing you can as a business owner. For me, I did focus so much time in ads, but it meant that I wasn't doing other things in the business, and that suffered in other ways as a result. But I did come to a level of expertise, I feel, from the amount of obsession that I had around it for so long. And so when I did finally hand over to a very flashy, I was like, I feel like I'm peaking in terms of my advertising, but I want to go to a new level. And I handed over to an advertising flashy one, like they were like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Real good hook and a real good form. And it got me excited. And then the salesperson was amazing. I'm like, yes, this sounds like exactly what I need. I can just hand it over. And then the onboarding was incredible. And I was like, they're really pushing me to get everything they want so they can make this. And then finally it launched, and I feel like I got handed over to someone that was incompetent and didn't understand what to do. And my spend went right up. Yep. Our quality of our leads went right down as well. So we started getting random phone calls about stuff that wasn't even relevant. And it was a disaster. And I was freaking out because we were spending, 10 to 20 grand a month. Like, this is when I was a smaller business too. So it was a lot back then for me. Good. So it was a lot of money. And I felt burnt. And that's what I was saying. I was heartbroken because it's like my campaign that I had, what worked so well, I felt like was shattered and handed over to someone that might not have been trained well to, manage it. Especially, I think that's the sort of thing I don't want people to experience. So if we could just talk around some of the tips, how do we ensure that we can get a reputable agency to help people who have no idea? Because I had an idea. I would have, if I didn't know, I would have kept spending with, these average results. And love to hear your feedback on that.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got, so I'll talk about our business. So we train our staff, our sales, our strategic people to come out and talk to you, not about the products that we have. We basically come in and understand what you've tried and what are you trying to achieve. I think first and foremost, there's nothing worse than being pitched to or preached to, them trying to push an agenda. So we always try and teach our staff around what some bad practice looks like. So, I guess I could give you some warning signs that might help.
Yeah, warning.
So, sure. For business owners that are listening or watching this podcast, I think, just be cautious when you see someone promising first page rankings. Like that to me is like it's a massive warning. It's an open market, right? So ranking first thing is not everything, and it is achievable. Tomorrow, we can get you on first page. But it needs to be a holistic and gradual process, right? Yeah. And it's a combined strategy around SEO, quality content, relevancy for an audience that you're trying to portray with your website. And, even local search engine optimization, it matters for tradies. It matters a lot. So how they're addressing that. And then user experience, what's the user experience on the site? So I think when people are just promising first page rankings, they need to really understand your own business, what you've tried, what you're doing in-house versus relying on RC for your agency. And, some businesses might only need a small component like a total live chat widget that's $100 a month. Some might need just a tactical campaign, which could be a geofence campaign because they're doing an event, somewhere and they want to target people with display ads that are in the audience. So be cautious. The myths around first page is common. And then also another one could be high ROAS, a higher return on ad spend means it must be successful. You guaranteed success. And I don't agree with that because it's not always the case. You can have a long cycle versus short buying cycle, and every business is unique. And you might get an immediate return, but maybe the client base churns immediately and you never see any ongoing value with that client base, or they may not have a referral piece that could be interesting for you as a tradie. And I think a lot of agencies out there focus on the products they pitch. They don't talk to you about the importance of other things. It's reputation based and how you present yourself as a business. So always look for a marketing agency that tries to talk to you more strategically, and more importantly, they want to know about you as a person and you as a business. That's it's that genuine sincerity that I think cuts it. If I was to run a small business or even a big business, I'd expect that from a business partner. That's really what you need to look for.
Yeah.
And it's just the same way that you're trying to build brand and trust. I would expect that from the marketing agency as well. You know, don't come in with your Google Premier Partner badge and your Microsoft Elite badge and your Meta Partner badge, which some of us have. What are you actually going to do to help grow the business and partner with that business owner? That's more important for a business owner than the credentials that they allegedly bring to the table with their sales pitch.
Love that. I think, like you're saying, it's being empathetic and understanding what someone's going through. And you touched on something really important I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk about, which is long versus short-term return. Like, those are so important when we're looking at, so many people see, I spent X amount this month, but only got X amount of dollars this month. But when you get it, so I've got a guy that came in and we pushed some ads out, and then from, I think it was his first $500 he spent, he ended up getting nearly $1 million worth of work over the year. Yeah. But the first month they didn't get much money at all. If those ads got pulled down, that's crazy. And that's out of one client. Imagine if they didn't have ads up, they never would have got that client. So it's crazy that when you look at it long-term, like lifetime value of the client, it completely changes your outlook and what you're willing to spend. And like you said, Mark, around referrals, or how likely are they to refer, to spread the word, to partner with you, and to be able to continuously send you work. And if you've got clients like that, even though it doesn't return straight away, you got to look at that long-term as well.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of agencies will look at the data that you capture, your own book of clients. And, if the ones that are quite clever about it, they'll then use other tactics around, how they nurture those customers of that business. Is there an email strategy to provide constant and repeat business? Are they retargeting visitors to your website that might have moved out?
Yeah.
Contextual advertising is another play where you look at, you can do display ads, but is it relevant to the on-page content that you've got on your site? So, it is. Look, Greg, it's a complex world. I do feel for small businesses that haven't tried it themselves. I think there's always an opportunity to just try a simple AdWords campaign and get a feel, and then you can hold the agency more accountable. Or the right way for an agency is to take the business owner or the team exactly through, the storytelling, the strategy. So, I would always, coming back to the, what to look out for, just guarantees. Like, any business that provides utmost guarantees I think you've got to show more value than that. It needs to be, how are you partnering with that business owner, and the long-term play, the storytelling. So don't just talk to me about the results. Talk to me about what we said we were going to do 6 months ago and how that's changed, and then what these changes mean for the future strategy.
Love it. All right.
I think,
so we're going to do rapid fire. We're going to give the listeners what they came for, what we promised at the start. So we're going to do one do and one don't for a couple of things. I'm going to list out the things that we mentioned at the start. Sure. So one do and one don't for each of these, and just share what comes to mind. First thing that comes to mind, we're rapid fire. We're going to punch through these in a couple of minutes. So for do's and don'ts of SEO, one do, one don't. Go.
Oh gosh. So for SEO, so do make sure that you got original content, unique original content. Don't. Oh gosh. I'm not rapid fire today, mate. don't just use ChatGPT to create your content.
Beautiful. Love it. Facebook ads. One do, one don't.
Yep. Facebook ads don't target highly irrelevant audience. Do focus on ad copy. Do focus on, the overall message, and watch out for images that are going stale.
Nice. I like that. Google ads.
So Google ads, don't bid on ridiculously expensive keywords unless you know that you've got enough budget.
Yes. One click, gone. Budget gone for the day.
Yeah. And then do understand what optimization and automation techniques are available to improve conversions.
Nice. Nice. What TikTok, new one.
Yeah. Keep it clean and don't destroy your brand too much by going too loose.
Nice. I've gone pretty loose though, and I think we've got a lot of respect of how loose we've got.
I've seen some of your singing videos. They're awesome.
Yeah, yeah, pretty loose. Awesome. We're known as the singing electrician for a reason. Yeah. All right, cool. What's one? So Bing. Let's do Bing.
Yeah. So don't listen to agencies that only push Google. Bing's a real thing. And Bing, the do is like have a play with native ChatGPT in Bing browser or Edge or even Windows 11. It's amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. And local listings.
Yeah. So do ensure that you have a listings capability so that you're found on all different listing sites. Don't get your Google My Business listing wrong. Step one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then have different listings across different local directories.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome, Mark. Is there any other do's and don'ts that come to mind before we wrap this show up?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just the last one I think you guys should really be mindful to is what are your exit clauses when you go into a contract with an agency? Do they provide you an out? What does that contract look like? Make sure that if preferable, you're not locked into a 6-month contract and they're not actually safeguarding your actual interests when things don't go right. And then also, I guess the second part to that is some contracts are actually perpetual or evergreen, so look at your minimum terms and then have that conversation when that minimum term's up. But just be mindful that some agencies out there do have these little traps that you need to be aware of. So definitely look at the fine print, work with an agency that just wants to work with you and they're not locking you in on a 24-month contract that may or may not work out.
I'm so thankful that you said that because that was one of the biggest burns that I had when I was like, hey, I just want to wrap this up because you're not doing what I expected. They're like,
yeah,
sorry, you signed the 12-month contract. And I know I should have read it and been all over it, but I wasn't. I was just like so excited to get in and you'll get stuck in those. So such a good point, Mark. I really appreciate that. It's really important.
Yeah. And I'll give you a real-time example of that, Gregory, in a different degree. But, through the COVID and, everyone's scrambling to get their businesses online, a lot of bricks and mortar or trades-based businesses didn't even have websites. There was that mad scramble in the pandemic to get online and get an online digital campaign going of various natures. And we as a business, we found like a lot of our competitors were churning customers as the pandemic started becoming a real thing. We paused campaigns and we slowed down spend rates. So rather than holding our clients' contracts accountable to the spend amount each month and the regular billing and all the rest of it, we actually, not only did we keep all our client book, and we're talking thousands of clients, we grew them because we changed their marketing tactics. So what may have been a search campaign became a social one or a display one, which was a slower burn and more about awareness and more, not the pointy end of conversion on a pipeline funnel, but more about just getting their branding out there and their trust in market. And then as things started improving and people came out of the pandemic and what we call omni-channel, the buy online and pick up in store started to happen and society opened up again. Guess what? Those clients grew even more as they switched on the rest of those campaigns. So I think, just be really cautious with people that promise too much and under-deliver. and try and find agencies that can prove themselves with, valuable insights, case studies, runs on the board, and more importantly, they're sincere and genuine.
Love that. Thanks so much for joining us, Mark. Guys, LocaliQ, if you want to go check it out. I appreciate all the advice and experience there, Mark. It's been awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, mate.
See you later.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
Bye.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.
Hey, Mark, I'll give you a call on the phone because I've got to go get the kids. All right, I'll give you a call.
Cool. Thanks, mate.
See you, man. Good stuff. That was